Hello, blessings, and welcome to Massage Your Light Body. What we are exploring this evening is your energy field. Now, many times people think of their energy field as something that is outside of their body. And the reason for that, they've seen all those pictures in spiritual books, and they always depict layers of the aura appearing stacked like rings all around the body. Now, in fact, what they are attempting to symbolically describe in those pictures in the books is one field. You have an aura. It might have different aspects to it, but it's all the same aura, and it's all located basically in the same place. Now, why do we call it a light body? It's because for some reason when people think of aura, they think of something around them like a glowing presence, and I suppose on one level it is that. But your light body, think of the aura as existing in the same space where your body is. And get a sense right now that it radiates outwards from your body. So when we talk about your aura, or your light body if you like, we are talking about a field of coherent energy that is, in fact, you. It is the energy essence of you. It fills your body like a radiant light, and it extends beyond the boundary of your physical body. So, just to clarify one more thing, when you look at the books and they talk about the physical body and the etheric body and the emotional body and the mental body and the soul body, and sometimes they get a lot more elaborate, it's all the same energy body. It's all the same light body. It is your aura. Now, you could say that on different frequencies or on different octaves of your reality, there's the level or the octave where you have your emotions. And that's all emotional body is. It refers to the emotions that are generated by you that exist on that dimension. It's located where you are. Likewise, mental body, the world of your thoughts. We think of thoughts as being in the head, or we might think of them as being in a mental body that's somehow around you. It's all through you. It's from your head to your toes. Between your head and your toes, that's where your emotions are. It's where your thoughts are. How about the soul body? Well, your soul is vast. Your soul is ultimately as big as the universe. But the core of where your soul is located in this lifetime is precisely where your physical body is located. So the location of your soul body is where your physical body is. And how about the etheric body? The etheric body is what holistic doctors access when they do acupuncture. They're opening up the flow of the meridians. You could think of that as the anatomy of your energy body. It's really simple because, again, the etheric body is located where your physical body is. So, what do you do when you want to access one of these bodies? Simple. You intend to tune into it. You intend to tune into your emotional body or your mental body or whatever. And where do you locate it? Well, as you now know, you locate it precisely where your physical body is located. So intention puts you there. Now, let's get ready to tune in to these energy bodies to start. Tune into that space where you know your physical body is. And breathe in and breathe out and familiarize yourself with that space. And release anything from the day that you need to release. And tune into the now because that's where we are going to be focusing. And notice something now. When you tune into your physical body, there's a certain vibe or a feel. You tune into, with the intention to tune into, the physicality of the physical body. And then tune into the vibe, have the intention of the emotions. It's a different texture. It's not a stereotype of what you think emotions would be. When you tune into the emotional body, it's not a stereotype of intensity. It's just a slightly different vibration or texture than your physical body. Now, you might wonder, well, how is that leading to massage to just place your attention somewhere? It's a funny thing, But when you place your attention somewhere and start to move your attention through any level of your body, your consciousness is actually starting to massage that level of yourself. Strange but true. So begin to sweep your mind or your attention through your body. But for now, sweep it through on the emotional level. Just imagine with your consciousness that you are sweeping through the body on the emotional level. Notice what happens to any energies that seem to be there. Notice if they become smoother as you sweep your attention through. Now let's compare and contrast the mental body. Have the intention. I am tuning in now to my mental body. It's a different texture. It's actually a finer, faster texture than the emotions. And you may never have experienced that before simply because you didn't tune into it in that way. But this is starting to make things very simple. It's making it conceptually simple to recognize I can tune into my physical body by intending to tune into that level of consciousness, my physical consciousness in my body. I can intend to tune in to my emotions, again, where my physical body is located. And I can sweep through my emotional body. With my mind, I can sweep through my emotional body. I can sweep through my mental body. Now, if the linear mind is wanting to know, what are the thoughts there? Never mind for the moment what they are. We are working at an essential level where you tune in to something and you sweep it and effect a change. You create a subtle healing. So sweep through your mental body, that energy field that exists where your physical body is located. With your attention, sweep through your mental body. And notice, now that you've done that, what do you sense within that space of your physical body? And when you look about, how do things look to you? Do you see more clarity? Do you experience more detail when you have swept your mental body? Question just came up, what is involved? This sweeping, and is it mental or intentional or physical or what? The answer is that sweeping is a gliding motion that is very similar to what you would experience if you were doing long sweeps with a broom or if you were polishing something with a cloth. Now, some people are very aware of their physical body, and their physical body helps them to do metaphysical work. If you really like to use your hands, then when you sweep your body, literally move your physical hands as if you were sweeping through your body. And you can sweep through your body where you sit, or you could imagine yourself sitting in front of yourself, and you could work on that image of yourself. Some people feel more comfortable using their intention, their image of their light body hands. And so they imagine their hands sweeping through their body. However you want to do this tonight, if you want to use physical hands, works fine. If you want to use your image of physical hands sweeping, that is fine. The easy thing about everything we're doing is that it's all located in the same place. We are working with your light body, which is located where your physical body is. Makes everything simpler. Let's explore the various possibilities that we have here. What do you do if, for any reason, you are experiencing having ruffled edges or anxiety, nervousness, worry, anything where you feel frazzled or out of sorts? With doing massage, when you do massage on your light body, you're not so much working with contents, not so much working with the issues, so to speak. What you're really working with is where do you feel the roughness, where do you feel the nervousness, where do you feel the blocks, and you actually massage them. So we are going to explore some styles of aura massage so that we can just play with this. Now first, you're going to do a little bit of scanning. Scanning is where you just gently move your attention through your body up and down, and you notice where are the blocks, meaning where is it tight, where is it rough, where is it a little bit bedraggled, whatever you happen to sense. So just notice that, and don't try and interpret it. Just notice that something is there. Now, if you want to use your hands to massage that, just tune into what we call the light hands. Just imagine that your hands are made of light, and that taps you into the psychic healing capacity that you naturally have in your hands. And if you want to image them, simply image that you are working with them. So, gently with your light hands, approach that part of your body or that area in or around the body where you sense something a bit blocked, and start to sweep through it back and forth and up and down as if you were clearing something out. And perhaps you would image a comb, as if you were combing hair, or perhaps you would image a brush or a sponge. Anything that puts you into that zone of being able to work with whatever's there. And if you're wondering, well, what's the good of clearing it out or smoothing it out? When you work with massaging energy, you are working with the underlying level of reality. It's an even more basic, essential level than the contents of what the issue is. So just do those gentle motions to start. Let's imagine that from the place where you have that issue, gently sweep outwards, as if you had a pile of dust and you wanted to get it out of the room. So that's the first thing. Get that pile of whatever out of the room. So you're sponging it out or sweeping it out, however you want to image that. Now, as you do that, notice your breathing. And your breathing is going to tell you a lot. Your breathing shows you, oh, I can feel that I'm tensing up. I must be really approaching this block. And then you start to clear out some layers of it, because you clear everything layer by layer. And then your breathing opens up. And the breathing opening up tells you that you've started to genuinely release something. And that's nice. It's a nice feeling. So you're sweeping, and you're monitoring that area. And remember, it's taking place layer by layer. Don't try and release an entire chunk of something all at once. So you gently sweep, and you gently sweep again. And you gently sweep, and you gently sweep again. Good. Okay. Now, once you've swept it, what do you do with that area? We're going to do some linking or bridging, and what that means is, in that area where you just cleared something, that area has become acclimated in a sense. That area has become familiar with feeling that block there, and now the block is less prominent. So start to do a little massage from that area where you were working, and you're massaging towards adjacent areas of the body. It's almost as if you're weaving things together. The goal is, you've just cleared something out. You want that area of clarity to be connected to adjacent areas. Good. Do that. Get them flowing, get them connected. That makes everybody look more integrated, makes everybody look brighter, more unified, more connected to the core. Good. Excellent. A question just came up. What happens if you're clearing some heavy blocks and you find suddenly, for some reason, you feel rather tired? Now, in fact, remember, you've been acclimated to the tension that you hold. And there's a tendency for the logical mind, when you let go of tension, to suddenly sink back into itself. And it's almost as if it's starting to feel something deeper. Now, one of the things that it's feeling is perhaps how tired you have been, because it's possible that you were holding tension and you were running on adrenaline. And so the mind has a bit of a tendency to respond to letting tension go by saying, oh, it feels sleepy. Now, one of the things that happens when you start to feel sleepy is that you're starting to come back to your body, because often when people are tense, they're not really comfortably in their light body. They're not really in their physical body. They're floating around their aura in a somewhat fragmented way. Another reason that people start to feel sleepy is because they're starting to get real, and there's something in their logical mind that says, oh, whoops, I'm starting to come back to myself. I'm starting to integrate. That might be a bit much. And so as you familiarize yourself with these procedures, if you start to feel something, just do a little bit more balancing and just check in with yourself and see how you're doing and talk with yourself. And generally, it's entirely fine. And it's just a matter of getting familiar with integrating and playing with it and exploring with it. The question just came up, what happens if you are approaching a block and starting to work with it, and it brings up an unpleasant, icky feeling, sort of like the flu? Now, in fact, when you tune into your blocks, you are tuning into a complex of blocked energy that includes an aspect of the physical body, aspect of emotions, an aspect of mind, and also old karma and whatever else you might have. So when you approach something, you're just clearing out a block, and it's pretty simple to work with, but it's actually, in a sense, as they say, touching a nerve. It's touching a pattern that might have been there for a long time, and it might be something that has unpleasant feelings. So when these start to surface, you lift them out and let them go. And in order to stay centered with this, as you work, you breathe into your body. You breathe your attention into the area where you are working. And here's why. When you are doing massage on your light body, it is a beautiful opportunity to re-own that part of the body where you are clearing something. And so what you're clearing out could be from childhood, could be from past life, could be from yesterday. Whatever it is, as it surfaces, and this is something, again, you become familiar with the more you practice it. And you start to recognize, oh, there's that old icky feeling. And you actually congratulate yourself and you say, well, beautiful. That old icky feeling is surfacing, and that means that it's releasing. And that is great. And so you get familiar with the idea, oh, something unpleasant comes up, well, I'd rather have it out than in. There was another question along these lines. Well, what happens if you're clearing some layers, but the unpleasant feeling doesn't entirely go away? This brings up an interesting philosophical point about healing. Healing is transcending your blocks by getting more present. It's not a process of avoidance or denial. So this is not blithely affirming something away with happy talk. You really are feeling. And when you reach in there and start clearing out old complexes of energy that have been there for possibly lifetimes, it's not going to feel wonderful immediately. What you will notice as you familiarize yourself with these procedures, you will become familiar with the recognition, oh, right, it's that old stuff clearing. And you actually become familiar with what it feels like when you peel away a layer and then you peel away another layer. And you start to bring your attention into that place in the body where you have not been. And sometimes you get specific information coming up, and sometimes that can be very fascinating or insightful. But if you don't, just do the clearing. You do not need to have conscious understanding of everything. In fact, when people are overly mentally preoccupied with their issues, that actually slows it down and gets in the way. So just clear, layer by layer, and let yourself re-own all those parts of the body-mind that weren't able to be fully present. Now, let me just look at everybody's aura and see if there are any suggestions here. Yes, just by clearing a few blocks in these few minutes, there's a lot more energy flowing, And I can see that we need to get more flow between the core, the vertical core of the body, what some people call the central channel, and the outer aura. Imagine now your hands of light, and either use your physical hands or simply image them. What you are going to do is create integration between your core and your outer aura. And the way you're going to do that, start at your outer aura. And you could imagine that as being about as big as the room that you are in. Let's keep it simple. So tune into the walls of the room and figure that your aura is going about that far. And just start with your light hands to smooth that outer aura, rather as if you were polishing something. So polish your outer aura. Just imagine. And remember, if it feels that you are pretending, that's right. You are pretending. That's good. Okay. Now, how do we bridge that with the core of the body? Well, tune into your spine. You know where your spine is, and that's the same location as your central channel. And you could image the central channel as a column of light, tube of vertical light. Now, with your light hands, gently glide, it's a gliding motion, do a gliding sweep from your outer aura and slowly move those light hands towards the core of your body. And then a slow sweep outwards, slowly sweeping from the central core out to the outer boundary of the aura. And then at your own pace, back and forth, sweeping in from the outer aura to the core, and then sweeping out, sweeping from the core of the body, slowly gliding outwards. And your intention as you do this, you are weaving and connecting outer aura with inner core. That's good. Excellent. That looks bright. That is definitely working. Something that comes up often anytime you do energy work of any kind. It brings up all kinds of other heavy patterns. And it's important to recognize this. No matter what you're doing with energy healing, you will clear and bring up to the surface many more stagnant energy patterns than those that you are consciously working with. It's almost as if your intention to do something healthy and good brings up a lot of old stagnant energies. So what you do whenever you're doing this kind of work, take both your hands, either image them or literally use your light hands, lift the stagnant energies that are now surfacing out of your aura and lift them and place them in light, or lift them and place them out of the room and into the center of the earth where it can be recycled. So either into light or into the center of the earth for recycling. And do that layer by layer. You lift and release, and lift and release. And now you look more clear, and now you look more grounded. So we are going to create a technique here because I'm seeing that something is needed right now. You're looking brighter, and it's almost as if the energy field is looking so bright, the field is becoming brighter than the body is familiar with. And so it brings up the idea, well, let's do something that bridges the feeling of the physical body and the feeling of the aura. What seems appropriate right now? Tune into your light hands and tune into the part of your body where your belly button is, your navel. And get a sense that you're doing little circles with your light hand. And here's the intention. You are weaving the subtlety of the aura and weaving that subtle aura so it unites with the physical tissue in the location of your belly button. So massaging, swirling. You can swirl left and right with the intention that your aura is being anchored and unified and integrated with the physical body. And I can actually hear the auras and the bodies saying, oh, we didn't know that we were supposed to do that. We didn't know that we were allowed to be integrated. And that brings up the interesting point that people are generally walking around in life slightly fragmented. Not entirely fragmented, because people are able to function, of course, but it could be possible that bringing everything together could make you more unified, and that could be useful. That could help you to be more happy, more healthy, more together, more present. Now, let's see how everybody looks now. Now there's more ease, more comfort. The physical body and the subtle bodies are more integrated. Now, let's go to the next level. We were speaking at first about the subtle bodies, physical body, your life force body, also called etheric body, emotional, mental, soul body, and so forth, and stating that they are all located basically where the physical body is located. Now, how do you do energy balancing if you want to work on a subtle body? And of course, you intend to tune in to that frequency. And you know where it's located. It's located where the physical body is. What if you wanted to work with the emotional body? You wanted to do some general clearing and strengthening for your emotional body. Now, where's the core of the emotional body? It's where your spine is. The core of every subtle body is located where your spine is. So, the core of your emotional body is where your central channel, your spine is. So let's tune into that. And just imagine that you have a small image of yourself sitting in front of you. A small image so you can check the emotional body of yourself. This is the image of yourself. And you are going to tune in to the spinal area. And with your imagination and or with your light hands, you are going to reach forward and you are going to sweep up and down the spinal column, sweep up and down the central channel of that image of you. And notice what happens when you intend to sweep on the level of the emotional body. Suddenly you start to perceive things that you did not perceive a moment before. The reason for that, when you tune into things in a general way, it's not really precise because you're sensing everything. But when you tune into just the emotions, now you're tuning into emotional energies in the core of your emotional body. So there are some wonderful opportunities here. What if you could sweep out long-standing emotional blocks? And some of the deepest ones are going to be in the core. So imagine that you have something that's either like a broom or like a comb. Now, if those seem like things that are a little bit hard-edged or harsh, it could be a beautiful soft comb. It could be a beautiful soft broom made of light. So take your soft comb or broom, made of whatever you want to make it of. You are going to comb the long-standing emotional blocks out of the core. And you're going to comb or sweep them outwards. Do so with deliberate intention, but gentle, slow and gentle. Beautiful gliding motion. And you're clearing from the core of your emotional body and sweeping outwards. And as you sweep outwards, you take the clogged stuff that you swept out and release it into light. Just pretend. It's okay to pretend. And then you repeat that, and you repeat as many times as you like. And you're making a gentle motion. You're sweeping. And if it seems as if it's really clogged, and if you try and move it out and it won't move out, don't resist. Don't fret. Just do it very slowly and realize not everything is going to release at once. So just keep your comb or broom moving and just release a small percentage at a time. It's better to release a small percentage at a time than to go into upset or resistance because it's not releasing immediately. All healing practices are always done bit by bit with an attitude of patience. So, gentle sweep, gentle release. Now, if you're wondering, well, what do you do if you're starting to clear something and instead of getting clearer, you start to notice, wait a minute, this is looking more clogged. It is actually a good sign. What that means is that you cleared the surface layer. And so whatever was next layer down is now on the surface. And sometimes, honestly, you encounter some deep things that you did not know were there. But it's all manageable because it's all energy. So don't get embroiled in what these emotions might be. Simply notice if they seem to be heavy or sticky or clogged, that they ought to be released, and do so gently and deliberately and layer by layer. So you're sweeping outwards from the core, releasing in light. Good. Now at this point, you might think, okay, it feels a bit better. I feel a subtle tingle in my body. I seem to be more clear. But what do I do? How do I integrate everything? So you were sweeping outwards because you were releasing. So as you can guess, when you are weaving things together, take that same implement, the comb or the broom, or just your hands if you want to use them, and start to sweep from the outer aura and gently sweep towards the core. Sweep towards the core of the emotional body. Again, the core being where your spine is located. And if you're wondering, well, why am I sweeping towards the core if the core might still have a few blocks that I didn't get to? The answer to that is it's always a good idea to integrate and weave together as you work. Do not wait for perfection, because who knows when and if ever there is such a thing as perfection. So you do some clearing, and then you start to do some integration. Integration is a good thing. It helps you stabilize the results, and it helps you be comfortable with the results. So you sweep towards the core, and when you bring that healing implement towards the core, do a little bit of massage at the core. It's almost as if you're patting yourself on the shoulder or patting somebody on the head and saying, there, you're going to be okay. You're creating comfort, ease, love, caring. So you're gently sweeping from the outer aura towards the core, and that creates a feeling of smoothness at the core. And that really helps you integrate. It helps you integrate the changes. It's a big thing, in a way, to let something go. And so you want to create smoothness in that area where you released something. You want to create a kind, loving aura of kindness and love. So weave it together. Just imagine that you are smoothing and massaging and weaving the areas where you worked. That's nice. That's good. Now, we were saying earlier that your emotional body, your mental body, etc., is all located in the same place. And that explains what I'm about to say, which is, as a result of what you just did, clearing some emotional blocks, you're starting to get releases of all kinds on the mental level, on the physical level. So sweep through the room that you are in, and lift any blocks that are coming up out of the room. And if you're wondering, well, where are the blocks exactly and what are they? When you're doing this kind of work, just periodically sweep the room. You don't have to analyze everything. Just sweep the room, lift the heavy stuff out, release it in light or release it in the center of the earth. Excellent. We just had an important question about what's the correct order. Do you work with the physical and then the emotional, or the mental and the emotional, or what do you do? Just to be clear, 1 million people have 1 million answers to this. I want to give you the general answer that will let you do the right thing in the right moment. And that is, you follow your inclinations. Meaning, do not follow a set rule, because everybody is different and every situation is different. If, for example, you're tuning into something and you're sensing, okay, I've got a block, I know I've got something that's tight or tense or whatever, I want to work with it. What body do I want to start with? Well, first of all, you don't have to name the particular subtle body. You can just work with that area. And in fact, you could do this work never naming the particular bodies and get splendid results. But since it can be a little more precise to go into a particular body, what you do is you have before you in your mind the possibilities. You know that you might want to start with the physical. You might want to start with the energy body called etheric, the life force body. You might want to start with the emotional body. You might want to start with the mental body. You might want to start with the soul body. Just imagine these and imagine which one lights up as this is the place to start. Or imagine which one you have a feel for. You feel a resonance. Okay, that's the one I should start with for this particular situation. Now, of course, there will be many times when no particular one lights up, and for a good reason, because it doesn't matter. Remember, from the perspective of your soul lives in all these bodies. Your physical body is experiencing all these bodies. The entire spectrum of who and what you are is experiencing all these bodies, and they are all really connected. It's just like in the old song where the hip bone is connected to the leg bone. This body is connected to that body. They're all united. They're all even located in the same place. So start wherever you want to start, and as the work evolves, move to the subtle body that you want to move to. And you don't have to go in a particular order. You could jump from the slowest frequency body, which is the physical. You could jump to the soul body. You don't have to devotedly go through each body in between, because remember, they're all connected. You work on any one body, and ultimately it is affecting and benefiting all the other bodies. So we just had a question about, well, what exactly is happening if you've worked, for example, with the emotional body? When you are doing the integration, when you are bringing the aura back to the core, and when you are weaving together that area, when you are doing that, you are not necessarily thinking about emotions per se. You are not necessarily treating it as anything other than a level of the aura that you are weaving together. So it's a really simple, essential thing. The idea that at the essence level, everything is energy. And we're doing things this evening at a really essential level. The idea that if you want to work with the essence of your emotions, you weave the energy of the emotional body together. And if you're wondering, well, what do you image, what do you see or feel when you're weaving things together, just imagine the core. And you could imagine that vertical column of light being located where your spine is. You're smoothing it out, you're soothing it, and you are connecting that core with all the parts of the body. And it would be a really good idea in working with the light body to do a little process along those lines right now. Get a sense of your body. Get a sense that you have a spine. Your spine is connected to your head. Your spine extends to the arms and the hands. Your spine extends to the legs and feet. So that's the extent of the physical body. And from your head to your toes, you have that space. Now, running through that vertical space is this core of light. So you have the core of light, also called central channel. Now, imagine that your central channel is connected to the earth, and actually make some sweeps. Let's validate everything that we do by sweeping through that space so you can experience it as a physically experienced, felt sense. So let's start with your vertical channel of light, and you are going to sweep down to the earth and sweep up through that central channel, your own central channel. And then sweep above your head where the central channel extends to cosmic consciousness or extends to universal awareness. So sweep up and sweep down. It's a really refreshing feeling because when you sweep above your head and you sweep back down into your central channel, you are literally connecting with cosmic universal energy. And you are actually bringing it into your body. You're bringing it into your light body and your physical body. So you can sweep up and down. Now let's get the limbs connected. So you're sweeping from that central channel, and you're sweeping out to your arms and out to your fingertips and even beyond the fingertips. So you're sweeping out through the arms, through the hands, through the fingertips, beyond the fingertips, and then you sweep back. You never just sweep out. You're always sweeping out in order to release something, and you're sweeping back in to integrate. So sweep out, sweep back into hands, and back into core. And when you get to the core, make some little sweeping, soothing motions as if you were weaving things together, smoothing things out, tying up loose ends. Trust your intuition. Very intuitive. Now sweep from the core and sweep through the legs, down and out of the feet, into the ground, and then sweep up through the feet, ankles, legs, pelvis, spine. So sweeping down and out, and then sweeping up and back to the core. And you can actually sense that your legs really are getting connected to the pelvis. Pelvis is really connected to the spine. And sweep through those areas. Just sweep right through those areas now, as if you are weaving the connection, the energetic connection between the legs, pelvis, spine, and then down, spine, pelvis, legs, feet, and then up, feet, ankles, legs, pelvis, spine. And you probably feel more connected, more real, and more alive now. Okay. Now, you have a soul body. This is revolutionary when you recognize that most people, when they imagine their soul, imagine something that's floating around somewhere. So let's be very clear. Each of your bodies exists where your physical body is located. So the higher frequencies, the higher octaves of you are the soul. The soul is located where you are located. Now what that means is, in addition to having an aura that radiates beyond the boundary of your physical body, you literally have a soul body that exists exactly where your physical body is. Now, the reason that's revolutionary is because that means that you can work with the energy of your soul body by simply tuning into that very same location where your physical body is. And we are going to do just that right now. Have the intention that you are tuning into your soul. And if your mind steps in and says, what does it look like, or how do I do that? This is intention. You are intending to tune into your soul and start to sweep up and down your core on the level of the soul. Now it's going to feel and vibe different than the emotional and the mental bodies. It's still you. It's still an aspect of you. And this soul aspect is connected to all the other aspects. But you're tuning in now to your soul, sweeping up and down your central channel. And some of the things that you are sweeping out are ancient patterns that your soul has been carrying for lifetimes. So just sweep them and let them go. Now, what do you do if you are sweeping up and down and you notice something that seems very stagnant or very blocked? What you are encountering is something that has been blocked for a long time. So, what we know from what we have experienced this evening, you do things in layers. And so, if something seems that it's been there, it's been blocked for a long time, brush through as if you were gently brushing through and starting to loosen it up and clear the surface layer and sweep it out. If you're wondering, by the way, do you sweep out to the side? Do you sweep up? Do you sweep down? The answer is in all directions. You sweep in all directions. So you can sweep something out the top of your head. You can sweep something out your feet. You can sweep something out of your hands. You can sweep in all directions. You can sweep out of your chakras. Sweep horizontally, vertically, diagonally. And it's okay, after you've done a few sweeps of releasing, to do some inward sweeps, some integrative sweeps back in towards the core. So let's suppose that you were doing something at a particular location along your spine, and you were working and sweeping out something, some block that you found at the soul level. So now you sweep back in. You can sweep from above down. You can sweep from below the feet and sweep up. You could sweep horizontally from in front of you or to the side of you or behind you. Now, what are you sweeping exactly when you sweep your soul body? It's always the same, basically, when you work with a subtle body. Here's an easy way to image it. Imagine that you have thousands of fibers of light that extend out in every direction from your core. You've seen pictures of that sea creature, the sea anemone, being that has all these tendrils that are extending outwards. And so think of that as symbolizing what the fibers of light that comprise your aura are made of. And when you image that you have a sweeping tool or a combing tool, you could sweep these fibers, sweep them clean, and you could, if they're knotted up, you could untangle them. So sweep your fibers of light and sweep out and sweep in. Now, if you're wondering, my soul wouldn't have fibers of light, would it? And the answer is, yes, it does, but they're much more subtle. They're on a higher frequency than your emotional or mental light fibers. But remember, it's all located where your physical body is. And so if it is you, it is located there. Now, do you have chakras above your head? Yes, you do. Do you have chakras below your feet? Yes, you do. But all of those are referenced to the energy centers that are located where your core is, where your spine is, where your physical body is. Now, if this seems overly simple, perhaps it is, but these essential, simple things have been left out of many teachings because people are so preoccupied with noting the difference between this chakra and that chakra, they often forget that all the chakras are connected. They're all located along this one vertical plane or this one vertical column. And so everything is more similar than it is different. And you can take a basic technique and you can use it for any level of your reality. So you could work with emotions, you could work with thoughts, you could work with karmic issues of the soul, you could work with the physical body. Speaking of the physical body, wanted to briefly talk about what do you do if you want to work on a pattern that might be affecting your physical body. For example, you feel that something is affecting your physical body regarding health or well-being or comfort level or whatever, but you want to do some energy clearing for it. And so how do you approach if a particular part of your body is going through some challenge and you want to work on the corresponding part of the aura? What you do, in the same way that you realize that your subtle bodies are located where your physical body is, you're working on a particular part of the physical body. That means that there is a mental level of that part of the body located where else, exactly where that physical part of the body is. So a particular bone, a particular muscle, particular gland. Well, you know where it's located. So if you want to work on the emotional body level of that physical part of the body, you work in that exact location. If you want to work on the thoughts that you might have that are related to that, you can work in that location. Now, how about the soul? Why would you work on the soul to help your body? For the simple reason, many of the challenges that people go through on a physical level are the result of old patterns in the soul. Now, the obvious question, well, how do you know which subtle bodies to work with? Now, the answer is very simple again. You work on all the levels of the subtle bodies for any corresponding issue in the physical body. And here's what we are going to do right now. Tune into something in your physical body where you would like more comfort, more well-being, more health, whatever the issue is. Everybody has something they're working with. So tune into that part of the body, or if it is a body system like nerves or muscles in general, just tune into those in general. Get a sense of where that physical issue is located in the body. That tells you where to work on the subtle level. So just tune in and get a sense, I want to work with the subtle bodies in this part of the physical body. And you tune in and you let yourself pretend. Pretend that you are psychic. Pretend that you are sensitive, and you shall be. Now imagine a healing tool like a healing sponge, if that's appropriate, or a healing brush, if that's appropriate, made of a magical, loving, healing light. Now you're working in the location where that physical issue is, but you are working on the subtle body level. So you are massaging your light body in that part of the physical body. And notice what happens. Notice the changes that start to happen. Now you might note subtle changes in that exact part of the body, but many times you will feel easier circulation. You will feel a gentle tingling. You will feel rushes and releases of subtle energy flowing through the entire body. So quite an amazing thing to experience. So you're working in that part of the body on any of the subtle bodies. Remember, it doesn't have to be in a particular order. You could work with the emotional, then the mental. You could work with the soul and then the etheric. Good. Nice. That is releasing a lot of stagnant energy. So lift stagnant energy out of the room. Now, by the way, we have talked only briefly about the etheric body. Let's just explain a little bit more what it is and how you can work with it. If you think of the physical body as being at a frequency, it's the lowest or slowest frequency of all your bodies. Now, it's lower, not in the sense of bad or less than, but just a fact. It's a slower vibration. Not to judge it, just slower. The next higher body in frequency is the etheric body. And the etheric body is providing the patterns for the physical body. And if you have a creative inclination, that should immediately tell you, hey, well, maybe I should do some balancing and cleansing and integrating on the etheric body so that I can have rejuvenation and well-being at the physical level. And that would be a nice creative approach. And so here's what you might do. Tune into, let's make it really simple and general. Tune into the entire physical body and just get a sense of that space between your feet and your head, your entire physical body. Get a sense of the physicality. Now imagine that your attention is going up a little bit, going up an octave, so that you can sense that same location, but now it is the life force body, also called etheric body. So imagine that you have a sweeping tool, and so you are going to sweep gently up and down with the intention that you are cleansing, weaving together, and enlivening, all at the same time. Cleansing, enlivening, strengthening, integrating. Almost like a magic massage. So sweeping up and down that etheric body, cleansing, weaving together, enlivening, stabilizing, brightening. Just have these intentions and sweep through, and if something feels a bit blocked, just give it a little bit more loving attention. Weave it together if it needs that. Sweep something out if it needs that. And recognize you can do this. This is all very doable. It takes the mystery out. You can work directly on the subtle bodies. You can work directly on the subtle bodies. You know where they are located. You know how to access them. You know how to release blocks, and you know how to weave things together. So, if you're ready for a concluding meditation, let's do that. We are going to start with our concluding meditation. Tune into your body and breathe into your body and breathe out and feel at peace as everything integrates. And tune into your spine, tune into your central channel, and get a sense that as you breathe, you are breathing cosmic energy into your crown and breathing it through that central channel. And then get a sense that as you breathe in, you are breathing divine energy from nature. You could call it the energy of the elements in the center of the planet. You're breathing it up through your feet, breathing it through that central column. Good. Now you're one with nature and one with cosmic consciousness. Now with your light hands, get a sense that you can reach forth, either literally reach forth with your hands or simply do so with your intention. Reach forth as far as you can and imagine that you are pulling the most cosmic, amazing energies in the universe towards you, and bring them to your core and massage them in. Reaching out, scooping up the most amazing cosmic energies that exist in the universe, bringing it gently towards you, massaging it up and down your core. Okay, now the concluding part of that meditation. Reach into your core and tune into the deepest, most profound divine light that exists in your core and sweep it outwards. Sweep it outwards so that it gives a shine and a sparkle to your body and a shine and a sparkle to every part of your aura. Reach into the core, tune into the deepest, most profound, cosmic, amazing light that is there. It's almost like creating brilliant rays of light, giving them permission to be there, to fill your body with light, to fill your aura with light. Good. Beautiful. You have done fabulously well. You know what to do. You know how intuitive the process is, so be creative and explore. And thanks for participating, and thanks for creating divine light in your life in each moment. And thank you for making a difference for everybody on the planet. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Infinite divine blessings on all levels.